It's a kind of a follow-up on the villain question from before. Transformers is just a huge ensemble of characters with different ideas, value systems, history, even the way that they like process ideas. Like some have like a very black and white idea of the world, like make split-second decisions. Other ones have to like sit down and think about things and have like an entire page of dialogue before they make a decision. And you have all those different circles of characters, and the hardest part that I find writing is that when you have characters with completely different circles of ideas come together in the same room or area or whatever, how do you keep track of like the different mindsets of that? Because you have characters with completely different mindsets trying to talk to each other, and I find it very hard to like make it sound like you have two different characters speaking instead of a writer trying to play two different characters. Is there a way that you guys use to like separate the mindsets while making it seem like it's two different people speaking?
I always feel like I'm an actor when I'm writing. I need to become that character that I'm writing at that moment. So whether I'm successful at it or not depends. It's up to the reader. But I try to assume, okay, well, I'm assuming this role. What am I going to do next? What am I going to say? How am I going to act in this circumstance? I've noticed some years ago I found some Transformers criticism site which mentioned these are Budiansky-isms, phrases that I kept using over and over again. I used different characters, but the same kind of sentence construction, the same kind of phrases. So I wasn't 100% successful at separating one character from the next. It's difficult when you're dealing with so many characters to have each one talk in a completely unique manner, at least for me. But that was my goal, which was to assume the character as I was writing it. I don't know any way else to say it, to explain how I approached it.
Yeah, I would have said the same thing pretty much. Yeah, that if character A is saying something, it's conversation, so it needs to be a reaction. But like I said, you need to put yourself in the mindset of that character. So if it's got someone like Swerve talking to Shockwave, like that's, they're two like diametrically opposed characters, so you just got to try and inhabit the characters. And it's the same when you're drawing them as well, obviously. Like if you see an artist like drawing like an extreme facial expression, they're wearing that facial expression the entire time they're drawing that, until it's they can breathe out and it's done, so there's probably an element of that going on with the writing too, I think, where it's in, try and you're trying to write natural back and forth, and in those characters' voices. So yeah, you just try and put yourself there, I guess, which is a hard thing to teach. That's not a kind of a structural sort of thing, That's a sort of I guess it's one of the instinctive parts of writing, I suppose, and kind of like having an ear. But I think talking about the Budiansky-isms and like Furmanisms are kind of super famous, kind of in the fandom. But I can't think of many writers of like a long-term sort of note that don't have. I remember Mark Miller had like there's a list of like Mark Millerisms as well. I think it's the word idiot. I think he uses a lot. Characters will just call other characters idiot out of nowhere all the time. That's his go-to fallback. And I think the more you write, chances are the more you're gonna repeat upon yourself a little bit. I don't know if having a co-writer kind of helps that from happening. That maybe your other half will kind of sort of catch some stuff out. I felt like we did a little bit on Last Stand that we were sort of found ourselves using. Maybe saying, hey, you, when you were writing that bit before, you used that already, so maybe that's a good way to kind of catch it and have a co-writer, but it's not worth sharing the money with, so it's just figure it out yourself, I think. So I guess, just try and imagine yourself as that character, and just know your characters, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
No, well done.